Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Debbie Price, welcome or welcome back. I'm dealing with a lot of secondhand grief and I just really been thinking about it in so many ways that I just wanted to share a couple things about like my experiences and like what it really feels like to fully feel that emotion and really what it means to grieve within itself, like things like that. So it could be a little bit sad. I just want to start off, well, this video does talk about a couple things that could be a little bit heavier for some people. I want to put it out there in the beginning. If you are in a mood to listen to somebody dissect their own feelings and their own thoughts and you have the capacity to listen to somebody talk about it, keep watching. If you don't, click off. I'm telling you now, because I'm not gonna censor myself and I'm not going to sugarcoat what I'm feeling. And I do think these feelings are heavy. I don't want to come on the internet and spread sadness, but it is something that I'm going through right now, currently. So again, as you guys know, I make content that is on my soul, things that I live, and I'm living grief. So, or secondhand grief. So I just wanted to put that out there. My best friend, one of my best friends, you guys know I have 3, but my female best friend, so her brother, took his own life recently. He's no longer with us in the physical sense, and it's been about a month or so, almost a month now since that's happened, and it's honestly so surreal. Like, I have secondhand grief. I knew him. Whenever I would FaceTime her, he'd obviously pick up the phone and talk to me for like a chit chat kind of thing, but I still only knew him surface level. I didn't know him the way she knew him or the way she felt about him. But the reason why I say it's secondhand grief is because the way my emotions have taken a hit in this situation is so interesting to me. Like, I'm grieving for her in a way. It's not my grief because it's not my brother, but I'm grieving for her because I love her so much and I genuinely feel like I tell you guys, I don't know if y'all, listen, let me tell you something. My best friend, she is the nicest, most giving, most sweetest, nicest person I've ever met. I've never met somebody as nice as she has. Like, the way she is nice and giving and generous to people, I have never met somebody as nice as her. Nobody. She's just such a sweet person. And because we have such a tight bond, she's literally my best friend, there's something about watching her go through something so emotional and so traumatic that's secondhand. I'm grieving as well, but not in that same way. I am extremely sensitive about people that I love. I can even be considered, I think, a sensitive soul. I mean, when I was younger, I used to always say I feel my feelings very deeply. And I do think there is a semblance of that is still true in my adult life. But there is something about watching people that you love go through things that you don't expect and that you also don't know how to navigate. Well, Lauren London said it in an Andrew Martinez video, and I've been adopting it, which is there's no death etiquette. Like, as much as people die every day to various things, terminal illness, genocide, shootings, drug overdoses, just unforeseen circumstances, like things that you couldn't even piece together. The way that people die, you would think we as a human race would understand the aspect that people die better. Like, I think that people don't take that into consideration. I think honestly, my husband's the first person that I've ever met that really described it to me in a way that I can understand. And I'll share that with you guys as well so you guys can see what I'm saying. But there's something about watching her go through this very tremendous pain that has caused me immense pain as well, but obviously not in the same way, but also just I'm grieving for her. And grieving in itself just is a deep sorrow. That's like by definition, like it's just sorrow. And I say this all the time, the human experience is fully inclusive. For me, what is fully inclusive about the human experience are the things that you're not only going to experience being a human being on this earth, but also the emotional state that you're gonna experience in this life, regardless if it's positive or negative. And this is so negative, like the feeling of grief, the deep sorrow that people talk about where grief is concerned is a very uncomfortable pain. And I think that's another part of why there's no like death etiquette in our world or maybe in our general society. I think people have grieved different things and have understood it individually, but societally, it doesn't seem like it makes sense. I've watched her cry. I watched her obviously through FaceTime because I'm not there. And that also is like another thing about it that kind of adds another layer of pain, at least for me, because it's like your best friend like is not there physically. And that's the part about being away from home that I always understood I was gonna miss birthdays and holidays. But you also miss funerals and weddings maybe and baby births and stuff like that. Highlighting the funeral part is just really sad. It's just a really sad thing. But I think there's something very important about deep sorrow that people should feel. You will never appreciate the good without the bad. Never. And you will never really appreciate life without death. But it's traumatic. Like this situation has a level of trauma that I don't think anybody is ever going to be prepared for, ever in their life. Through grieving for my friend, I feel like very weirdly enough, I find that I understand more and more a mother's love than I ever have in my entire life. I don't have children. I'm the oldest of 6 siblings. So I have 5 underneath me, and I love them. I love my siblings, and I really want them to feel like they can rely on me and speak to me and talk to me, because I don't want them to ever feel like they're going through this life on their own, especially when it comes down to adulthood, especially when it comes down to college. Like there's things that I've experienced that I feel like have prepped me to assist them and my future children if and when we have them. And I feel like through watching my friend go through all of these emotions that this entails, I weirdly enough understand in the physical aspect of mother's love. Because a mother's love is to protect. So in some ways, I'm like, I want to protect her from feeling sad. I want to protect her from having to do gruesome things like walk the site, right? Like I want to protect her from the deep sorrow that she's feeling. I want to catch her. I don't want her to feel that pain. And I feel like I think most mothers, I mean moms, people that have children and want to mother their children, want to raise their children, I think those people have that in them. Anybody can push a baby out. Everybody cannot be a mom. The same way anybody can put a baby in somebody. But everybody's not a father or a dad. So by mother and father, there's that, but there's a mom and dad aspect to it as well. So anybody that's a mom, I think they want to protect their children. And I think there's something about that protection aspect that in some ways can be seen as coddling, or in some ways can be seen as like not pushing your kid to their limits, but that's why you have a father. A father's love is to push you past your limit and to show you can do it. A father's love is to guide you closer to the version of yourself I think that people want to feel, in my opinion. Like I feel like a mother's love is to protect, catch you when you fall, hold you when you're sad. A father's love is to push you past your limit, show you what you're made of, and then on the other end of that, you are now filled with a newfound confidence that you probably didn't have before. That's what I think. That's my opinion on mothers and fathers. Watching her go through this pain has caused me so much deep sorrow secondhand, to the point where I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. I just don't want her to feel this. But it's inevitable. I can't protect her from the feeling. Her brother is her brother. Like, I can't protect her from that. And there's no amount of love that I can provide or any physical person can provide that's going to protect her from that. And I think that was a very interesting thought process that I also was able to understand through this process of secondhand grieving for her. I've heard a quote, I feel like most people have heard this quote, which is, grief is love that has nowhere to go. And I think that in this case, I don't know if it's because of the way or the how or the what, all those things that really don't really matter. But for some reason in this case, at least right now, from what I can see or what I can feel, it feels like it's a love that's being suffocated, because you love this person so much to the point where you don't know what went wrong, and you don't know what you could have done, and you don't know all these things, all these open questions that don't have answers for real. And it just feels like you're suffocating underneath that love, because if you didn't love this person so much, maybe it wouldn't hurt so bad. I do think that there's some semblance of that is true. It is love that has nowhere to go. Like, it doesn't feel like it's love. It feels like she's being suffocated or being crippled by the love that she had for her brother, because it hurts so bad. That's the sorrow that I think that really accompanies that feeling. And that's the part about it that really flips me up and down. Like, I'm so shocked by it, because it's like, yes, it's love that has nowhere to go, but it's love that feels like she's crippled under, because, well, there's no physical thing to love. Now she has to find a way to put that love elsewhere, but it doesn't feel like there's a place for it to go. So now it seems like she's feeling like this love that she has, this well of love, is just being dried up by sorrow. And I don't know, something about that also feels really conflicting, because love in my mind generally doesn't have a negative connotation. But every love ends not negatively, but even the deepest love has a sense of sorrow to it. Because I love my husband with everything in me. Child, I love that man. I love that man. I love that man. But when one of us pass, there's going to be sorrow accompanied with that, because I love him so much, and same vice versa. So I think there's something about, yes, it has nowhere to go, but why does it feel like it's not love per se? Why does it feel like it's my love being being tugged out of me, being removed from me. In not only a physical sense, but in an emotional sense as well. Even though death is inevitable, nobody wants to be the one to pick up their life after somebody passes. Nobody wants to be the one to go through that person's things. Nobody wants to be the one to get rid of their things or to have to go through what they had and what they didn't have. Like, nobody wants to have to be the last person standing in regards to grief. Like, nobody wants to go through that. Yes, we all know we're gonna die one day, but do we know it? Do we live it? And now we're gonna go into what my husband has explained to me in ways that has allowed me to understand it. And my dad and my husband have two different ways of looking at it, but I do think it could probably bring somebody some kind of solace in if you're going through grief yourself. But my husband's way of seeing it is, I know everybody that I love is gonna die one day, regardless if it's me or them. But the difference is I think about it more enough so I kind of mentally prepare myself for it. Nobody's mentally prepared for somebody taking their life in any aspect, but I'm mentally prepared for the day that I am removed from that person in a physical sense. And I think about it so much to the point where I'm not depressed or anything, but I have to allow myself to think about it and to face that reality internally. So even when it happens, even if it's the most peaceful death or the most traumatic death, there's a piece of me that understands, well, this is gonna happen. We all go. My dad's way of looking at it is people forget that they only come to this earth as a tourist. My dad's also a pastor, so let's put that into perspective. He's speaking from a godly sense, so take that into consideration. People come here and they don't realize that they're a tourist on this earth. You're just a tourist. You just come here for a very short period of time. 80 years may seem long, but it's not very long when you think about the span of time. Or even within 1,000 years, nobody has lived that long. So in his mind, it's like, well, people don't understand that you're here as a tourist. You only come here for a short period of time, and then there's a time where you have to go. Once you recognize that there's a moment in time that you're gonna have to go, there's some peace in that as well. Like, I'm only here for a short time anyway. So between those two mindsets, I think those two ways have actually allowed me to understand it a little bit more. Not the idea of taking your own life, but the concept of death within itself as a whole. One of them is more prepping myself mentally and emotionally and trying to see it from a different lens. And another one is kind of like, well, we are going to leave anyway. Both of them have that undertone. We're all going to leave anyway. We're all going to pass one day. But they come at different perspectives that I don't know if it helps, but it helped me understand. One of them I practice, one of them I understand. All of it makes me feel like I have to live deeply, like fully and truthfully and all encompassing. Like, I don't want to feel like because I'm only going to be here for a short time, or because I'm going to one day have to live with the idea that my parents won't be here no more, my siblings may not be here no more, my husband might pass before me, that I'm not going to live this life to the fullest. I'm not saying jump off cliffs. If that's something that you want to do, then you can do that. But there's something about being fully present that is so rare nowadays because of how many things distract us on a daily basis. Like, our phones are distracting in itself. And you can't seek presence when you're distracted. So there's something about being present that I think allows life to feel very long on top of gratitude. That being grateful and being present are such rare things nowadays. Like, I'm craving that. I'm searching that as an adult. Like, I fully feel like I need to do better with that, because life is short. As life is short in the sense, like, we're not going to be here for a long time anyway, even though 80 years feels like a long time. But when you think about it in the span of time, it's really not that long. On the flip side of it, life can be very long if you practice gratitude and presence and seeking presence and being present. That whole thing just allows me to make better decisions internally. Sometimes I'm always like, oh, I'll do something tomorrow. I'll do this then. I'll do that then. It could be something as simple as a chore. For example, I put on my makeup today. My makeup brushes are dirty. Typically, I will leave those makeup brushes on the sink or in a drawer until I'm ready to do them. And then next time I gotta do my makeup, I'm like, oh my God, my brushes are wet. I can't believe this. But it's a simple task. Like, I'll do it tomorrow, but who promised you tomorrow? Nobody. It doesn't matter what you believe in, what belief system you have, whatever you follow that helps you get through this life. Tomorrow is genuinely not promised. We have dates on our calendar and we have a concept of time, and we've tried as human beings to make time make sense, but there really isn't anything that really makes sense about it when you think about it in itself. Like, okay, I know right now it's 7:26 PST time, but that doesn't mean that it's actually it's a time of day, but it's not a time. I don't know how to describe that. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'm not doing it eloquently enough, and maybe I'll post something that can help me explain that better for you to understand. But time itself is not promised, and it's not freely just known to be consistent. Like, we don't know when any of this stuff ends. Like, we don't know. That's the whole thing about life that makes it so important to really live it deeply and to practice gratitude and to be present. Because how do you know tomorrow is gonna appear for you? How do you know you're gonna pass in your sleep tonight? How do you know that right now is not your last breath? Live deeply. I have so many connections with people that I've had over the years that in some ways has taught me different lessons, good or bad. But ultimately, lead with love. I go to sleep soundly at night knowing the people that I've affected, either positive or negative. Because I know for sure I put all my cards on the table. That's how I love. That's who I am. The reason why I'm so great at giving 15 million chances is because when I'm done, I'm done. So I go to sleep soundly at night knowing that I've told people that I love them. I have a sister that doesn't speak to me. That's not like crazy information. Maybe to you guys, it's like, oh, your personal life is kind of coming out here. But I do. I have a sister that doesn't speak to me. And there's nothing wrong really technically with that. But I go to sleep soundly at night knowing that I did everything I could possibly do for that dynamic to work. And if it's up to the other person and they don't want it to work, there's something I can do. Live deeply, lead with love, tell people that you love them. Tell the people that you love them. Not, oh, I love you, hate it. No, I love you. Thank you for being here in my life. Thank you, and I thank you for just being you. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate our dynamic. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate our mother-daughter relationship. I appreciate our father-daughter relationship. I appreciate our cousinship, our cousinhoodship, child. I don't know what word I'm trying to use for cousins there. That wasn't working, but I appreciate you being present with me and doing this life with me, because I don't know when I'm going to be able to say that to you again, because I don't know when I have another opportunity to do that. Say it all the time. All the time. You never know. Leading with love allows me to sleep soundly at night. If I'm a villain in somebody's story, that's because they chose me to be the villain. I love that person or love those people at that time with all of me. Take it how you want it. My last little nugget of information that I've been thinking about lately in regards to the youth, the younger people. If you're younger than the age of 20 years old, this next part's for you. Cosplaying as depressed will make you depressed. I don't know if anybody's told you that. I don't know if anybody's clearly said it to you as like that. Cosplaying as depressed will make you depressed. It's not cool to be depressed. It's not a trend to be the sad boy or the sad girl or to listen to sad music all the time. It's not. It's not. It will ruin your mental state. It will ruin your emotional state. I'm not saying that there's not a place for sadness. I'm just saying don't make sadness your personality. Stop it. Stop it. If you're sad about something, recognize why you're sad. This is for my teenagers. This is for my young 20s, the girlies and the guys that just do things because artists do them, that just do things because they see other people do them. You will become depressed if you continue on that trend. Because you, as a younger person, it's very hard to manage your emotions as an adult. It's very hard to manage your emotions as an elderly person, somebody who's been living on this earth for more than 60 years. So I can't imagine anybody between the ages of 12 to 25, or even not even 25, from 12 to 23, 24, trying to navigate life, but just doing things that everybody else is doing, and you're in a friend group where everybody's just sad and listening to sad music. You guys always do the same like dress code thing, and all the things you guys wear and all the things you guys do is just sad stuff because you have the opportunity to do that. Life is not all that. Like, life is not all the things that you're doing with just your friend group. That echo chamber that you're putting yourself in where depression is concerned will catch you. It will get you. It will grip you one day. And then one day you're going to wake up and be like, why have I been depressed for so many years? Because you started it because it was a trend. You started cosplaying as depressed because you thought it was cool or everybody else was doing it. Nobody wants to be sad. Deep sorrow, real sadness is not something you wear to go to school. It's not a jacket. It's not a hoodie. It's not a backpack. It's not. It's crippling. And it can get you in moments when you don't even know, when you're not even expecting it, or you don't even know how it came about. And then you're all of a sudden somebody who doesn't fully understand why you feel certain things because, well, at one point it had something to do with this or that or that. But then when you look back, it's just habitual. Don't make sadness or depression a trend. It's not cool, to be honest with you. And it's not like, oh, she's an old head. She don't know what she's talking about. I'm still in my 20s. I'm 28 years old. I don't know nothing more than you do. But I do know that the things that the youth is listening to and watching and the fast behave, the fast media and the fast action things and the way that you guys are consuming stuff. If you ever come across this video, check that. I'm the oldest of 6. I check that on them. I check on my brother in that way. What have you watched today? What are you doing? What is going on? Because my best friend didn't fully understand what her brother was going through. And as an older sibling, if you know anything about being an older sibling or just a sibling at all, where you love your siblings and you're just friends with your siblings, that is probably one of the saddest things you could ever experience. You live with this person, you see this person, you talk to this person, and they're battling demons because they don't know what's going on. That's sadness. So when people are making it a trend, it's not funny. It's not funny, it's not cool, it's not cute, ain't nothing about it that's really gonna be attractive. It's just not. That's what I would have to say to the youth. On top of anybody that is struggling mentally, get help. I feel like when people say that, people are always like, oh my God, but getting help, like what does that mean? That means talking to a therapist. That means talking to a psychiatrist and maybe getting prescribed medications to help with moods. Mood disorders are real. Chemical imbalances are real. Mental health awareness is important. I know we are in July and we are not in May, but May was Mental Health Awareness Month. Every month should be Mental Health Awareness Month. You do not know what somebody's going through. Lead with love, lead with kindness. Don't be a prick. As an individual, don't do it, because you could be the defining factor between somebody taking their life and staying here. As a whole society, we need to check in with ourselves and our friends and our loved ones on a deeper level, because that is the part about mental health that I think people miss a lot. It's not just who is dealing with it, it's who you interact with. You don't know who you're going to interact with. Of course, if certain things elicit a reaction from you, there's certain things that you can and can't control in that regard. But at the end of the day, if you are mentally struggling with something, please seek help. Because the people, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry on big YouTube, child. Y'all will not catch me slipping in here. But the people that are left behind when you're no longer here feel your absence. They do. They feel your absence. Yeah. And if you have people in your life that you love, everything that is tied to them, you also just love, at least for me. Everything that my friends are tied to, their parents, their friends, their family, I'm tied to that, because if it affects them, it affects me. So even though it's not my grief secondhand, just on a secondhand basis, I'm hurting. Yeah. Due to him being absent right now. Yeah. So if you are struggling mentally, get help. Go to a therapist. There's nothing wrong with it. And therapy is not a last resort. Therapy is what you use to help get you out of it. So if you are somebody that recognizes, oh, I have this issue, I have that issue, or I know I need this, don't wait until you feel like you're ready to go to therapy. Therapy may sound scary, and a lot of people still even find it to be taboo, but it changes lives. It saves lives. The practices save lives. Even if it's not therapy, just find counsel, find people that you trust, that you can talk to, that you can be like, hey, I'm having a bad day right now. Can I talk to you real quick? It's important. And it's pivotal. My mother-in-law did that with me the other day. She was like, girl, I want to talk to you. My mother-in-law is a very special individual though. She's sharp. She's sharp, she's fast. She can pick up on vibes, and she can walk in a room and tell you about people. Like, she's just one of those people. She's like, I don't know, like after I visited, I just want to check in on you mentally. Like, I was watching one of your videos and you're explaining certain things, and I just want to check in on you mentally. You need that. Luckily, I didn't need it at the time, but I don't know when one day I will need that. You need that. You need counsel, people that love and support you for real, and to ask you, how are you doing for real? I want to know how you're doing for real. I don't want the fluff. Me, I hate small talk, on a side note. I really hate it. And sometimes when people come to me like, oh, hey, how you doing? How was your weekend? Especially now that I'm working, I'm like, yeah, it was great. Like, you don't care. Well, just tell me what you need. Let's get to it. But find counsel if it's not therapy. Find friends, people that you trust, not the fake social media stuff, like people that you love for real. Because that changes your life. That can change the trajectory of your life. Yeah. I think it could have changed the trajectory of his life. And then, obviously, if it would have helped, he probably would still be here. So, I'm going to stop tearing up, child, because I can't. Woo! Tell people you love them. If you're struggling, there will be resources in the description box. Really take your mental health seriously. And at the end of the day, live deeply. I don't have nothing else to say on top of that. Live deeply, truthfully, fully. Don't take this life for granted. You only live it once. So that's all I have to say for this video. I know it's probably a very heavy one. I hope you did like and subscribe. Even if you did it and you watched it and it brought you some kind of peace, let me know in the comments. And I will catch you guys next week, next video. Maybe with happier vibes. I don't know. But I want you guys to know what I said. Hopefully it helped. All right, guys, I will talk to you guys next week. I hope you guys are having a good week. And I'm sending good vibes your way, always and forever. And I'll see you guys in the next one.